Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I hope you guys are doing well. So, yet another close call asteroid flyby. Look at this one, though. 0.03 lunar distance. Now, that's close. That's pretty close. And that went by on May 4th. And that was the closest of the year and the sixth closest on record. So, yeah, that legitimately counts as a close call. This is the 40th that went by since the start of the year. Second so far this month. So this one, though, was only between about 9 and 20 feet in diameter. So it wouldn't necessarily be a city killer or anything like that. But still, that is definitely very close. Here we see deadly derecho slams Nashville with 70-mile-an-hour winds, snapping trees, knocking out power to more than 100,000 customers. More hail. Baseball-sized hail across Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. So severe winds clocked at 71 miles an hour in Nashville. So these storms stretched along a 600-mile path, as you see some photos here. It's that time of year, and of course all the storms are getting stronger with all the weather conditions that we have going on. And so derechos arrived fast, racing forward at highway speeds. For example, the storms on Sunday traveled at nearly 60 miles an hour. That is fast. And so they had ominous clouds and a green sky. And there's video here for you guys to check out as well. I have all the links for you. Check out this landslide. And this is in Waterford, New York. You got a house just teetering on the edge. And this one's coming right up to the edge of the house here as well. It's a massive crater that swallowed trees, left houses hanging precariously. Part of a driveway on Middletown Road collapsed down a ridge about 80 feet into a canal below. First responders arrived and quickly started evacuating homes near 150 feet of land that had broken away. So several homes had to be evacuated. 3 homes were affected. 4 houses are still evacuated. So 12 people displaced. No injuries, though. And there's a video so you get a eagle-eye view of it. And we have dangerous underwater sinkholes swallowing flood water and vegetation in Kenya. And this, as this says, it's an impressive phenomenon. As you can see, the whirling action here. And as you may have read in this post, Kenya and other parts of Africa are facing severe floods, as we're going to see. There's some intense floods going on right now, which is all making for more crop loss, obviously. And, as we know, there's shortages. The food shortages are growing. The meat shortages are growing. We see that in all the news. It's now mainstream. And see here, now imagine the smell. Largest landfill in Bogota, Colombia, bursts open and spills 60,000 tons of trash and dirt down the mountain in Colombia. That could not be pleasant. And so one woman said this has caused environmental contamination due to the gases coming from the landslide. And we need to get things in order, as this world is really a mess right now due to, in this person's humble opinion, the corporate mindset for the most part. And that profit at all expense mentality that's led to poisoning and pollution and just so many travesties. And here we see hundreds of seabirds along with thousands of mussels and fish mysteriously dying in Oslo Fjord. Now, there could be something else going on here, too. There's been a lot of quake activity. There's been a lot of volcanism going on. But, we also know there's a lot of pollution and things going on as well as energetic components to things, if you know what I mean. Something is seriously wrong here with the Oslo Fjord. No one seems to fully understand why. Fish and mussels have been disappearing, while the fjord's characteristic seabirds have been found dead as well further north. Newspaper Dagsavisen has reported that the dead birds are believed to have simply starved to death. That's truly a sad situation that we see going on. However, experts conclude that only one thing is certain. The ecosystem has come under severe pressure despite massive efforts to clean up sewage and industrial pollution for decades. About 240 dead birds have been found as of mid-April. On Sunday, Norwegian Broadcasting reported around 400 have now been found lifeless along the shoreline. And then we see the conservation agency Statens Naturoppsyn told Dagsavisen a month ago that he fears the real number is several thousand. And they've lost a major source of their food, not least the mussels, but other things as well. Cod, while plentiful in the waters off northern Norway, has disappeared along with other popular whitefish, such as pollock and some of the others. What we're seeing is just, the poisoning of the planet has led to what's going to end up being massive starvation, on a global scale. And it's starting to really, really settle in.
It is, and it even has me feeling kind of sad just reading this.
It is sad. I mean, we were just every day we're reading about more and more die-offs. It's a travesty, and we need to point our fingers where the blame really lies, which is really with the corporate mindset, the greed. These companies that are above any and all laws, they make their own laws by controlling the politicians, as we know. And so, they constantly get away with a little slap on the wrist, here and there, a tiny little penalty or fee, perhaps. Meanwhile, thousands and thousands, if not millions, of life forms are dying on the planet every single day because of, the way things are handled. And this is talking about plastics. We've had so many whales dying, and washing up, and then they find tons of plastics in their stomachs, undigested. Same thing with dolphins, other fish. You could call somebody all sorts of names as far as, wanting to live a more green lifestyle and not to poison the planet. You get that where people will be, viewing it in a negative light. But the reality is really sticking in our faces now. And, the question is it too late to avert just, incredible global die-off? And it's affecting the human race too. Now, as we see, we still have the locust plague going on. Of course, we have everybody on lockdown still. And, who knows when that's really going to change. There's meat shortages that are popping up everywhere. And, there's other shortages, food shortages, that are popping up everywhere as well. And, in so many ways, it's humanity's own fault for not standing up and, calling it for what it is years ago, decades ago, and making changes to the raping and pillaging of the planet that's been going on. And unfortunately, we haven't, stepped up to the plate yet en masse. And it'll probably only happen when masses of humans are starving, that people will actually, go ahead and let themselves be known. It's starting to happen, but, it needs to be much more than it is. Here we see this Asian giant hornet called a murder hornet found in the U.S. for the first time. And these things are huge. And this is the world's largest wasp with an appetite for honeybees. And bees are dying off. And if there are no bees, there's not going to be anything. That's the bottom line. The whole cycle of life will be completely disrupted. And, again, this is just one more thing that we could add to the mix. And it's a shockingly large hornet and a significant predator of honeybees. And so that's not a good situation. These things are being seen in the west and in the southwest. And at about 2 inches long, these can kill humans if stung multiple times. Their stings are big and painful with a potent neurotoxin. Multiple stings can kill humans, even if they are not allergic. So, wow, this is a nasty little thing. And I don't know, it's weird. Looking at this right here, it almost makes me feel like it's a drone.
It does, like it's its little antenna.
Yeah, but, you got to wonder about these things. We're seeing so many of these things happening, and terrifying moment, right? This murder hornet kills a mouse in under 1 minute, the mouse is dead as the hornet stings it and the neurotoxin gets into its system. And there's a video there that's pretty intense. Poor mouse. And then it ends up just flying away. See the size of a western honeybee, and look at the size of the sucker in comparison. That has gotta hurt if it stings you. So this is native to temperate and tropical climates in East Asia, and they kill about 50 people a year. And they've been sighted, and a couple of you guys told me you've seen them in the US and Canada since November 2019, so they're newcomers here. A growing list of events that have dealt blows to Americans. We know that. There's obviously a lot of things that we are going through right now. Here we see global study reveals declines in terrestrial, but increases in freshwater insect abundances. So there is a massive die-off of insects, land-bound insects. But in the sea, it's actually growing, which is a curious thing. As we know, there's so many fish dying off in droves, and there's so many birds dying off in droves. You name it, we're seeing so much. We are in the midst of an extinction level event right now, and that's not really an understatement at all. And so declines are more evident in some parts of the U.S. and Europe, which saw its biggest drops year after year since 2005, particularly in Germany. So why the U.S. and Europe? Well, very industrialized for sure. And again, so much of the policies where these corporations could buy off the politicians and then go ahead and dump stuff wherever they want to dump it. Large mud flow causes severe damage, and this is in Kyrgyzstan. And, instead of a river, it's kind of a muddy main street there, deep underwater. Again, you had people having to be rescued. Massive changes going on all across the globe, and this is all adding to the food supply problems. Heavy rains caused deadly floods and landslides in Rwanda as well. And again, multiple videos where you could see the damage being done. Lake Albert overflows, damaging or destroying hundreds of homes. This is the Congo. Africa's getting hit really hard right now. And you were talking about our friend Robert over in Uganda. Because they're having food shortages.
They need serious help, please, because they're talking about if the extended stay at home goes on, they're looking at trouble with food. They really, really are. That's very concerning.
Yeah, and I'll put a link for him on Facebook. I got rid of my Facebook because of Big Brother, and Cindy still has hers up right now. We'll be closing that out too, and getting rid of one of our phones too, as we are just gonna continue to march our asses away from the system every way we can. Heavy downpour causes severe flooding in French Guiana, and so we've seen this all across the globe, guys. As you see, again, more boats deployed going down Main Street. So areas that have had these problems, they more than likely will just keep intensifying as we go deeper into the cycle. Calgary ties its longest streak below 20 degrees Celsius in recorded history. And so cold times are returning. And, of course, you have your grand solar minimum people and you have your global warming people. And then you have those of us that say that, well, all we know is there's extreme change going on. Yeah, the sun has cycles. We understand that. But at the same time, there's so many patents for weather modification. What would it really look like if there was no human interference? Something tells me that it would be a blissful place, perfectly peaceful and harmonious, without all the havoc, death, disease, and destruction that we see going on.
I know it feels like it would be very harmonious, but we've got to understand we've been manipulated to think that we need certain things to survive, and we just don't.
No, we don't. We choose to. We choose to live this way, and it's been part of the programming, as we know, and we could blame it all on humans, but there is a non-human component to this as well. So we see, though, here the total Arctic sea ice volume is actually less than it's been on average going back to 2004. So it's still running less. It's been running less for like a year now. We see first discovery of mysterious fast radio bursts from inside the Milky Way. And so, this is one of those things that they'll throw out different possibilities. Well, it might be this, might be that, might be this, might be that. Oh, I'm sure it's not aliens, but, it might be this, might be that. We have no explanation. It's probably stars, quasars, things like that. But they really don't know is the bottom line. And especially because, sometimes they are not so rhythmic. Other times they can be somewhat rhythmic. It's fascinating, really. But bottom line, you guys know, I believe that there's tons of life out there. And I think we've been visited as long as we could go back. Even probably before humans ever existed, I think that this planet was visited. Red orbs and UFOs, sightings from Virginia to Nevada. There's lots of things in the skies these days.
There is indeed. There's tons of stuff. If you get lucky enough to get a clear sky, take advantage of that and just watch up there.
We see stuff on a nightly basis, and you could tell what is normal, and you could tell what seems to be abnormal.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, to quote a quote from Young Frankenstein. That was a great movie. I love that stuff. The old goodies. So there's a video here up in Virginia sighting with some orbs. And, you could check that out. But there was another clip southwest of Las Vegas. And, of course, there's been so many sightings. And we have disclosure going on and nobody seems to care right now, which is kind of funny, too.
Well, I know, and I think that's, why people's diets and stuff is the way it is, because it keeps you not caring.
Yeah, exactly. Between everything that we get prescribed and the typical sad American diet, it all makes for really a foggy brain that doesn't really think clearly.
And having to work the way we do just to pay the bills, it's horrible the way it's set up by design in their favor.
Yeah, as we had said before, too, the Nazis used fluoride in the water in concentration camps to keep people docile. And there's still tons of people drinking fluoridated water here, So it's time for people to wake up, as we've been saying for a long time. And so we could see the last supermoon of 2020 starting tonight through the 8th. And so it's in the constellation of Libra. And it'll be a beautiful sight. And we also have Venus, which last night was kind of right across from it on the other side. And Venus is beautiful, shining brightly, the morning star and evening star, as we've talked about before, looking into the mythology of it. So, my friends, thank you so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. As always, we couldn't do it without you, with everything that's going on in this world of censorship. God bless, my friends. Namaste.
Namaste.